Hello friends, in this video let us discuss about the transfer function of armature control DC servo motors. So let us initially get some basics about this servo motor. So any electrical motor can be utilized as a servo motor if it is controlled with the help of servo mechanism. So servo motor is nothing but any electrical motor if it is controlled with the help of servo mechanism, then that electrical motor can be called as servo motor. Now, if the electrical motor associated with the servo mechanism as a control device is DC motor, then that DC motor can be referred as the DC servo motor. That is, if I take the electrical motor as a DC motor, then DC plus this servo mechanism is your DC servo motor. And similarly, if the electrical motor as a control device associated with your servo mechanism is AC motor, then that AC motor can be referred as AC servo motor. So this servo mechanism, if we discuss about this servo mechanism, it is typically a automatic closed loop feedback control system. Here the device, instead of controlling a device with a applied input signal, we are going to control the device with a feedback generated signal by comparing the output signal from the output sensor and the reference electrical input signal. So the servo system basically has three basic components. One is the control device and the other one is the output sensor and the other one is the feedback system. So servo mechanism, or you can say the servo system, it employs three basic components. One is the control device, output sensor and the feedback system. So the output sensor, depending on the position of the shaft of the DC motor, generates a signal. So basically you can take a potentiometer here, or practically you can take digital or analog encoder for measuring the speed of the DC motor shaft, and that means the position is taken as the input in the sensor and the output is the voltage signal if you take the potentiometer as the output sensor in a DC servo motor. So this output signal from the potentiometer is compared with the reference electrical input signal in an error detection amplifier, and the difference is amplified and fed to your DC motor. So here you will be having DC motor shaft, and this is coupled to another shaft with the help of gearbox, which is generally for speed reduction, and it is coupled to the potentiometer from which are getting the output signal. So basically it is sensing the position and generating the voltage signal as the output, and it is compared with the reference electrical input signal here, and the difference is amplified in this error detection amplifier, and a third signal, or you can say the feedback signal, is generated and it is going to power your DC motor. So if you want to rotate your motor to some specific angle 0 to 30 degrees, so the reference electrical input signal will be 30 degrees, and the shaft of this DC servo motor is known by using this potentiometer, and the potentiometer signal and the reference electrical input signal are always compared, and once the difference becomes 0, that means once the DC motor shaft achieves the desired position of 30 degrees, then the potentiometer knob, which is coupled to the shaft of this DC motor, reaches to such position that these two signals become equal. That means as long as there is a logical difference, then only the two signals are compared and a third signal is generated. Now once they become equal, there won't be any signal compared, and there will be no amplified error signal. That means the motor comes to a stop state. So this is basically how your DC servo motor works. So there are various types of DC motors, like shunt wound DC motors, series DC motors, separately excited DC motor, brushless DC motor and permanent magnet DC motor. Now among all these types, mainly we are using separately excited DC motor, brushless DC motor and permanent magnet DC motor as servo motors. Now, for generally the motors which are used as a servo motors, they have, if you take a DC motor to be utilized as a servo motor, they must have separate DC supply for the field winding and for the armature winding. So armature winding has one DC supply and the field winding has other DC supply. So you can control your DC servo motor by controlling the armature current or field current. The field control DC servo motor has some specific advantages over armature control DC servo motor, and similarly the armature control DC servo motor has some specific advantages over field control DC servo motor. So depending on the type of application, one has to decide which control is to be given to this DC motor. Now if I consider the linear, that is a magnetizing saturation curve, so let me say this is my air gap flux phi and this is the excitation current. So this is how your magnetizing saturation curve looks, and the field circuit of this armature control DC servo motor is operated at well beyond the knee point. So beyond the knee point, let me say this is my knee point, after which the magnetic circuit, magnetic core goes to saturation. So beyond the knee point, the field circuit is operated, and if you observe this magnetizing saturation curve, for a large change in the field current, there is a small change in the MMF. So that means this makes your armature control DC servo motor less sensitive to the field current. And from the general motor torque equation, that is a DC motor torque equation, we know torque is proportional to the product of phi and Ia. Now at this juncture you can see the air gap flux is maximum. Now if I assume the phi to be having a large value, then for every little change in the armature current, there will be a prominent output value of the torque. So that means this makes the armature control DC servo motor to be more sensitive to the armature current. And we know the armature of a DC servo motor is more resistive, it is more resistive and less inductive. The armature of a DC motor is more resistive and less inductive. Therefore, if you see that time constant tau A is equal to LA by R is very small. Now this makes the dynamic response of your armature controlled DC servo motor superior to the field controlled DC servo motors, because in field controlled DC servo motor the field is having a large inductance value. Therefore you will be having a large time constant in the field controlled DC servo motor, and therefore you are having large time constant, which makes the dynamic response slower. But in armature control, as we are having less inductive and more resistive, this value is very small. That means due to sudden change in the applied amplified error signal, there will be a quick change in the armature current. This also makes your armature control DC servo motor to be more sensitive to the change in armature current. So now considering, if we discuss about the schematic diagram of the armature control DC servo motor, so as we have said, for a DC motor to be utilized as a servo motor, it must have two separate DC supplies, one for the field winding and one for the armature winding. So here I am having amplified error signal to control the shaft position. Whatever you say, this feedback signal is nothing but the amplified error signal, and here I am having a constant current source which is giving the current IF. This is my field resistance, field inductance, this is armature resistance, armature inductance. Here I am having the back EMF EB, this is my armature, this is the theta angular shift in the shaft position, and here I am having two mechanical parameters, J, F naught. J is the moment of inertia referred to the equivalent moment of inertia referred to the motor shaft, and F naught is the equivalent viscous friction coefficient referred to the motor shaft, and let me say the amplified error signal is EA. So now for the linear range of this magnetizing saturation curve, I can write phi is proportional to IF. Now from here I can write torque is proportional to phi Ia. So removing this proportionality sign, I can write phi is equal to Kf If. So by plugging phi is equal to Kf If in the torque equation, I will get torque is proportional to Kf If Ia. Removing this proportionality sign, I can write torque is equal to K1 Kf If. Let me write If Ia. Now this is constant. In the armature controlled DC servo motor, the field current is kept constant. That means the shaft position, that is the output theta, must vary with the amplified error signal only. So the transfer function is nothing but the Laplace of the output, which is nothing but the angular shift in the position of the shaft to the applied or the amplified error signal. That is the transfer function we are going to find. So ultimately I can write torque is equal to motor, that is a torque constant Kt into Ia. So this is one equation I am having, and let us apply KVL in this loop. So let me say Ia is the current flowing in this armature circuit. So by applying KVL, that is a Kirchhoff voltage law, I can write Ea will be equal to Ia into Ra plus La into dIa by dt plus the back EMF induced in the armature winding as the armature winding rotates in the magnetic field. So this is the second equation I am having, and I know the back EMF is directly proportional to the rate of change in the angular shift position. That means Eb is directly proportional to the rate of change of angular position, that is d theta upon dt. That means I can write this implies, removing the proportionality sign, I can write Kb, that is a back EMF constant, into d theta by dt. This is my third equation. And by considering these mechanical parameters, I am having a torque equation as this torque will be equal to J into d square theta by dt plus f naught into d theta by dt. Now let us convert all these differential equations into the Laplace domain or S domain for finding the easy transfer function, that is the Laplace of the output to the Laplace of the input. So let me take this equation, or let us take this equation. This is my fourth equation. So by taking this torque is equal to Kt into Ia, I can write torque T of S will be equal to Kt into Ia of S, and here I can write my Ea of S will be equal to Ia of S. Let me take Ia of S common here. So by taking Ia of S common in the Laplace domain, I can have this Ra plus SLA plus Eb of S. So this is my other Laplace equation, and for this equation I can write Eb of S will be equal to Kb into S of theta of S. Now this I can write in the Laplace domain as this implies T of S will be equal to, if I write this, J S square plus F naught S into theta of S. Now considering the no load condition, so I know the balancing all the torque equation, that there is a electromagnetic torque Te will be equal to TL plus J d omega by dt plus F naught into omega. So this is the torque equation for any electrical motor. Now considering no load, the TL becomes 0. That means electromagnetic torque will be equal to J into this omega is nothing but d theta by dt. So this will be nothing but J into d squared theta by dt square plus F naught into d theta by dt. So let us, if we see here, we can equalize these two torque equations. So that means I can write this torque will be equal to J S square plus F naught S into theta of S. Now, if I bring this EB of S to the left hand side, I can write this as EA of S minus EB of S. So here we are going to witness a summing point due to this equation, that is the EA of S minus EB of S. Due to this, we can consider there is a summing point in the block diagram. Now if we draw the block diagram, so let me take the input is EA of S. So here will be you are having a summing point EA of S. Now from here, if I consider IA is the output, EA of S minus EB of S is the input. So considering them as the input and this is the output upon the input, I'll get this block as 1 by RA plus S into LA. Now that means the output is, here the output is IA of S, and here we are having a signal EB of S. This is nothing but EA of S minus EB of S, where the output is IA of S. By considering this equation, I can draw this block. Now IA of S is the output, so you can see IA of S is the output, T of S is the input. So output upon input, I am having other block, that is KT. So KT is my other block, and from here this is T of S is my output. So by considering this equation, the output is theta of S, the input is T of S. So I can write the output upon input as, by drawing a other block, this will be equal to 1 by J S square plus F naught S, where I am having theta of S as the output. Now by considering this equation, EB of S is equal to KB into S into theta of S. So theta of S upon this EB of S, or let me write the EB of S is the output here, theta of S is the input. So EB of S upon, if I write this as theta of S, then this block we will get KB into S. So this block is nothing but KB into S. Now either by block diagram reduction technique or by adjusting these four equations, we can get the transfer function, that is the output theta of S upon EA of S. So I can write the theta of S upon EA of S will be equal to KT by S into RA plus SLA into JS plus F naught plus KT KB. So this is my transfer function. After adjusting these four equations, or either by reducing this block diagram by using block diagram reduction technique, I'll get this transfer function, which I can write G of S is equal to theta of S upon EA of S. Now if I bring this S here, then I can write S into theta of S. Now from here I know omega of S is equal to S into theta of S. Now if you consider the angular velocity as the output and the EA of S is the input, you can also get a transfer function. So, but now as we have seen, the armature is more resistive and less inductive. Now if I consider the inductance to be 0, so if I assume the LA to be 0, and if I take RA common here, so I can write this as KT by RA upon S into Js plus F naught plus Kt Kb upon Ra. So let us bring this S inside. So I can write Kt by Ra upon Js square plus S into F naught plus Kt Kb by Ra. So now by observing these terms, I can say the back EMF of the motor, the Kb value is effectively increasing the viscous friction coefficient. So thereby I can replace this whole term with a viscous friction coefficient value F. So let us rewrite the equation. So if I rewrite the equation, that is G of S will be equal to Kt by Ra into J square plus S into F. Now from here, if I take SF as a common, let me take SF as a common, then Kt by Ra into, so if I take SF common, this will be J by F into S plus this is 1. So I can write it as Kt by Ra into F by S into J by F plus 1. Now let us write the transfer function in the more generalized form. So if I write it in the more generalized form, I will get Km is the motor gain and S into S tau m, that is a motor time constant, plus 1, where tau m is given by J by F, Km is given by Kt by Ra into F. So by assuming the armature inductance La to be 0, we are going to see the transfer function of the armature controlled DC motor is having a single time constant, that is the tau m motor time constant, but in the field controlled DC motor we are having the motor time constant and the field winding time constant. So this is a closed loop system, but in the field control you are going to see the open loop, because we do not have any back EMF in the field control DC servo motor, as the field control DC servo motor is done above base speed. So above base speed, the value of the change in the speed is very small, therefore the back EMF is almost constant, and there we witness a open loop transfer function. But in armature control DC servo motor, due to the presence of back EMF which also damps out the oscillations, we are having the closed loop transfer function. So this is all about the derivation of the transfer function of the armature control DC servo motors. I hope you understood well. Please subscribe to the channel.